Hey guys, it's Erin or Gimme Yarn 418 and I am back with another video. I think this is the fourth day in a row with a new video, but I just have had things to actually talk about. So, as I mentioned yesterday on my TGIF video, I made a doll from this book, My Crochet Doll, which I bought before my birthday. And then I also bought the My Crochet Animals, which is by the same person. I haven't used this book yet, but I'm assuming it'll be much along the same lines. So, My Crochet Doll. The first thing I want to say is that I paid for both of these items. These were not given to me. I haven't been asked to do this review. This is just my honest assessment of the book. The first thing you need to know when you purchase this book is that it is, if you're in the US, it's in UK terminology. So a double crochet in the UK is a single crochet in the United States. I've tested patterns for a designer in the UK, so it's kind of, it's really not that big of a deal if you just remember that. Now, in this book, as I showed you before, you get the basic doll pattern, and then you get all the patterns for the accessories for the dolls. And I made, let me find it, sorry for the page flipping. The outfit that I made was the schoolgirl. One thing I was surprised about was that I found I don't see any directions on how to make the glasses, but maybe I should check that more carefully. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything for the glasses, which I thought were a really cute part of it. So just know that before you start that it's for the crocheted pieces, which is still a great amount of knowledge. The next thing I want to say is that here's my doll, Emma, who somebody asked if she had already been sold. I haven't put her on Etsy yet, so just fixing her hair. She's been sitting up here. So here's Emma. All of her clothes are removable, like I showed you with the shoes yesterday. And let me get her into her natural state, I guess. The pattern for the doll is great. It's straightforward, it's easy to follow. It tells you where to put everything. So here she is when she's in the buff. It does not tell you where to put the eyes, which I find when I make an amigurumi is a very important tip, is where to put the eyes and where to put the nose. Just my opinion, because quite honestly, when we look at a pattern, if we're going to make someone else's pattern, we want ours to look as close to that as possible. So that was a little bit of trial and error, is getting the nose and the eyes in the right spot. And other than that, I think the doll is pretty straightforward. Now, I crocheted her out of Red Heart Soft. I think the color was cream. I'd have to go back and check. And my thinking was I would do the whole set in all the same yarn. The next thing I made for her were the bloomers. The undies. They call it undies in the book, I believe. So here are her undies. Now this was a little bit more challenging. In this book, the designer uses a huge range of yarns that she can find in her area, but every piece is knit in a different weight. So this was a lot of trial and error to find a hook size that would fit, and my biggest complaint in this book is that I think that all of the items in the book should have been done in the same yarn so that, relatively speaking, the hook size would be about the same, and they weren't. So it's hard to say when she says to use a 2.0 millimeter crochet hook, that's not necessarily what you're going to be using. I ended up, this was the beginning. I ended up making notes of what I used for everything, the hook size, and these I crocheted 3 or 4 times before I got them right, and I had to have a super tight tension. The dress and the shirt. Well, the shirt was the first thing I did. This is my shirt. It buttons in the back. This is not the shirt in the book. I could not for the life of me get the shirt in the book to fit her in any way, shape, or form. I was down to a B hook, which is tiny with worsted weight yarn, and I just couldn't get it small enough. The neck was too wide. So I ended up just making it up as I go along. It's kind of bell-shaped, but the doll is kind of bell-shaped. So this is inspired by the picture and the pattern, but not really done even close to the way the pattern calls for it. I would be interested to see how it crochets up in the yarn that the designer used. So another thing about this is the clothes, while they are changeable, they're very tight. So to put her, I'll do this the best I can, to put her shirt on, I have to go through the legs, over her derriere, and I'm realizing you're not seeing it on camera, and then put the arms. It's quite a tight fit, so if you're making this for a younger child, they would probably need help with the clothing. But then again, if you were able to get the designer's pattern to work, it might not be as tight. I was going to use a snap on the back of her clothing because I thought that might be easier for a child, but I didn't have any snaps on hand that were small enough. So that's her shirt. Put her undies on. Isn't this attractive? The undies go on with no problem. I should have showed you what she looked like with just her undies on, but... So there is that. She's halfway dressed. Now the dress, I did and did not follow the pattern. I did follow the skirt, I did follow the bib, and I did follow the straps. However, I crossed them in the back so it would stand up a little better because she doesn't really have shoulders, and it was slipping down when I didn't have the straps crossed. And I have a string hanging out here that I'll have to fix. So again, this goes on a little bit tight, but it doesn't look tight when she is dressed. You gotta tuck in her shirt just like a child. And her other strap. So the dress, even though there's a string hanging out, it's going to drive me bonkers. Let's see if I can get that, because I don't have any. Okay, there we go. Now it's at least on the inside. So there's her dress, and that fits well. The only thing I'll say about the dress is I find it a little bit short, and I really have to pull it down so that she's not showing her undies to the whole world. So she's pretty cute. And the shoes and the socks, I ended up, there's a pattern for boots, but I ended up just doing the basic shoes and the basic socks, and instead of having them separate, I sewed the socks, I stuffed the shoe, and I sewed the socks into the boot, so it was all one piece, because I thought it fit on her legs a little better. And there she is, all done. So I don't know if that's really a review. I mean, that's my thoughts on it. Things I would have changed if I were the designer is I would have done everything in all one line of yarn, and that's about it. The patterns are really actually quite well written, very clear, and if I had all her yarn, I don't think I would have had the issues I had. She's very clear on what hook she used, what size, when to change, and things like that. I love the versatility of having all the different pieces to work with one doll. I will be making another one. And for a basic doll pattern, it was a great pattern. And I think anyone with an advanced beginner to intermediate understanding of crochet would have no problem getting the pieces to fit, even if you had to do them yourself. And there are a lot of ideas. I am going to be doing some more of these things. Like I said, I'm going to make another doll. Emma's going to go up on Etsy. Which was the one I wanted to do? My father-in-law just pulled in, so I'm going to have to go. But that is my review of my crochet doll. All in all, I give it a thumbs up. Just keeping in mind those few things. It's in UK terminology, and you're going to have to experiment a lot with hook size. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and of course subscribe to my channel. I always forget to say that. And look for more videos coming later in the week. Alright, I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.